Wojciechowski. I'm the manager for business development, aircraft market here at PAX IMC. Today we're here with Commander Brandon Norman Michaelis, correct? An F-18 ejectee, and we're here to ask him some questions about his experience. So, leading up to your ejection, can you kind of tell us a little bit what was going on, and then kind of once the event happened, how you kind of felt in that moment?
Yeah, so obviously it was at night, so it was dark, and it was at the very beginning of the flight. Mm-hmm. So we were just what we call the admin portion of the flight, which is where you're kind of doing some of the administrative stuff, getting your systems turned on, getting them tuned up for what you need, frequencies, a lot of stuff. We call it admin work, not a whole lot of flying going on. Mm-hmm. And then when the incident happened, it was at a high speed. I never saw it coming, so I was completely caught off guard. Didn't know if I hit a pterodactyl or another airplane. I really didn't know because I couldn't see anything coming. So in that moment, there was probably about 4 to 5 seconds between the impact and the violence that occurred to pulling the handle. And kind of the cool thing for me, and it's not cool, but it's kind of what formulated my mindset, was I had seen other ejectees in T-45s, I'd seen some in F-18s, and I always saw them get up and walk away from it. You know, maybe not perfect, maybe a little injury here or injury there, but it always seemed to work. So in that 5 quick seconds with an airplane on fire, falling out of the sky, missing a wing, there was no hesitation for me to pull that handle. I had all the faith and confidence that once I did that, I was getting out of the airplane safely and that I was going to get home. So it was a very easy decision. It was a very quick decision, although when I replay it in my head, I can slow down time and I can replay it, the smells, the sounds, the motion. I can relive the entire thing, and it's only a couple of seconds, but I had full faith and confidence in pulling that handle, and sure enough, what do you know, it worked out. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Do you think that's pretty normal with pilots in general, that they have? Is it taught to have confidence kind of in your ejection system, like you?
So you do, yeah, and they walk you through. And again, it's cool, it's sad. You see other people that do it, and you see what happens when they eject. So the confidence in the seat and the product that everything goes into that seat is there, which is good to see. There is some folks that hesitate out there, depending on maybe they came from another platform. In the incident I was in, the guy was from another platform where the seats didn't work out as well. So it was a S3, which you had to go through the glass when you ejected, and unfortunately a lot of times they didn't survive going through that glass. So maybe hesitation there. He didn't end up needing to eject, which was good. But for guys like me, the year groups that I was coming through and where we saw it quite frequently. Okay. So there was no issues or no concerns at all.
Awesome.
I was going for it.
Excellent.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So when I ejected, again, I didn't see what had happened. I didn't see it coming, and I'll get into that story this afternoon. I never saw what hit me, if something hit me, if the plane was just falling apart. All I knew is I had a whole lot of cautions, and I had a huge firewall in the back. So once I pulled the ejection handle, took a little nap for probably about 2 minutes, woke up, I was in the risers of the parachute, see, everything was gone. Everything worked as advertised, which is amazing. Didn't require me to do anything. And it's no moon night, so it's dark. And I can see way off in the distance, I can see what looked like another huge chute. And I thought, oh, there's someone else out here. This is a very bad night for 2 of us. But then of course, I get in the helicopter for the rescue portion, and I tell them, hey, there's someone else out there. I'm not the only person here. I saw another parachute. And they said, oh, we think that's your seat parachute. I had no idea. The seat had its own parachute to soften that landing. So of course it was a sense of relief as well, because knowing that I was the only one that was involved or that had punched out and survived, that's a good day for everybody. We all got to go home, which is very important. So I never got back in. I didn't get back in. So part of my thing is it was at night, so I had NVGs on, and I did not get my night vision goggles off in time. Oh. And for physics majors, that extra moment arm that's out there created a lot of pressure in my neck, so I broke 4 vertebrae in my neck. So with the Navy, anything's waivable. You can get a waiver and fly again for anything. But I elected not to seek the waiver just based on, if God forbid lightning strikes twice, which it doesn't happen very often, but if it did, I may never walk again. So I'd already landed on a boat. I'd already dropped live bomb. I'd done everything I could do in an airplane, so I was good. I was done. So I never got back to flying a Super Hornet. I was not physically qualified for ejection seats after that, and I did not seek a waiver.
What was it like, kind of that, I guess that return was it a van or a helicopter home?
Yes.
I guess tell us about a little bit that recovery process before you finally got back to your family and your wife.
Yeah, so I was
something happened at work.
So I was stationed in Lemoore, California at the time, and the mishap was in Fallon, so obviously I was not home at the time per se. And then it happened at about midnight at night. I got lifted out via helicopter to the Fallon Hospital there, the regular hospital. Spent some hours in there getting warmed up because I had hypothermia. I had some other injuries. They had me in a cool little blue bunny blanket thing that warms up your body. It runs water through you so you don't just get heat up initially or right away. And then the next few days, believe it or not, are very intense with interviews with folks, mishap investigations. The whole time my wife is saying, hey, I'm packing up the van, I'm driving up there. The chain of command, my chain of command was very good about it. He doesn't have a whole lot of time, unfortunately, so we're going to get him home, and we'll get him home as soon as we can. So there was a good 4 or 5 days where it doesn't really settle in. You just kind of, you're just back going through the motions, just back into fighter pilot mode and briefs and debriefs and talking to people and answering questions. And then I went home after about 4 or 5 days, and then that's when it really hit home. And then it really sinks in of, oh my God, this could have gone a lot differently. So it was a great experience. Obviously, I was happy to be home, and then there's a long recovery after that. It was a good 6 months of physical therapy and some other stuff. I had some injuries that I had to recover from, and then the whole mental aspect of it as well. But I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change the way it went down. I would, obviously, if I could change it not happening, I would. But the sequence of events, the things that occurred, I wouldn't change it for the world, because if you change one small factor in there, one stick movement, one throttle movement, if I saw it, if I hesitated, if I did anything differently, you don't know where this story ends, because it doesn't end here if I changed anything of it. So I wouldn't change anything for the world. So yeah, so it was very emotional. It was very emotional because I didn't know, obviously, back that night, I didn't know if that would ever happen again. And part of that was when I landed on the side of the mountain, I landed in a kind of a cliff area. So I was in waist deep snow, and I sent the Navy Times article, does a very good synopsis of it, the Cliff's Notes version, if you will, without getting all the other stuff of the 55-page report. But I was basically in waist deep snow because I'm a cool fighter pilot. All I have is a t-shirt and a flight suit on, so of course I'm freezing. And I ended up with hypothermia, and I was out there for about an hour and a half. So there was a moment, and it was probably the lowest moment, was when I took out my iPhones. As you can see, I was carried right here, and it was underneath all my gear. And I did voice memos for my wife and kids, not knowing if I'd ever see them again. So the fact to go from that to 5 days later seeing them was very emotional. It was very emotional. My parents are still down in San Diego, so after about a week, they drove up and got to visit. And of course, everybody reaches back out, and you have a lot of contact. But it was definitely a great moment, and it's something I would never want to go through what I went through to get to that moment. But man, the feelings you have, and it's unfortunate that you sometimes have to go through some things like that to realize how important some of those things are. But living in this world, and it's not a secret, guys and gals that do this for a living, it's your whole life. It's catchy movie lines. It's not what I am, it's who I am. All this. I've watched Top Gun a couple times. But it really does become your entire life, and sometimes you lose focus of what is so important, and then you go through something like this and you realize, oh wow, all of this could have been gone. So it was good. In the end, it was good. So I have not met any other ejectees in person. I knew of one who ejected in T-45s when I was down there, and I was friends with him, but after he ejected, he went down a different path and left, and we never really saw him again. But I've interacted with folks via email, talked to folks. You don't learn any secret handshake or anything, unfortunately. And that's kind of where I formulate my stories. I've talked to a person who said they stayed awake the whole time. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, I don't know. I went to sleep, took a little nap there. But it's a lot of the same stuff. They're glad to be back. They wouldn't change the sequence of events for anything. And then what I would offer to them, if I ever talk to other people again, and hopefully it's okay, I'm gonna recommend that folks come out here and see this organization and see what goes into it. because Martin Baker's great. I mean, I'm thankful for Martin Baker every single day, and I'm thankful for their seat, and I have the tie, and I have the coins, and I have the watch, and I have all that. But what I never knew prior to today was all the stuff that goes into said seat, all the work that's done here, all the stuff that's done in the background to build that seat to be the product that it is. No idea that all that stuff went into there. So super thankful that I know now. And I'd recommend anyone to come here and see this based off of that.
Now that you've come and seen the PacSci facility, what did you think? What was your first impressions of PacSci?
Completely overwhelmed. It's an experience I did not expect. I don't quite know what I expected exactly, but I didn't expect that many people working on all the things that go into an ejection seat. I expected a little more machinery, a little more automation, just because that's what I thought did it. I had no idea that literally people come to work every single day and work on that stuff by hand, day in, day out, to build a product. And it's overwhelming. It really was. And it was great to be able to see those folks and to say thank you, because I don't know if I can truly convey, or if anyone really can, the impact that they can have. They literally make the difference between life or death. And I don't know how you tell someone that sits and builds a widget during the day, because it's super important, and I don't know exactly how you convey that to them. So hopefully they got that message. But it was extremely exciting to meet everybody. My cheeks hurt because I've been smiling all day. My mouth is a little dry because I like to talk a lot. But it was a great time, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. And I'm going to recommend to other ejectees to really put your arms around what goes into what you went through. You got to go see this place. You have to see what they do there, because it has definitely changed everything that I knew about my whole story from 13 years ago. Today changed that story, so it's pretty cool.
Awesome, that's great news.